We have reached the point in time that we're going to do the OTR pop quiz. I'm just going to say, not to put pressure on you, but not too many Yaleys have failed on the pop quiz.
Okay, it's a little bit of pressure.
Question 1. You are a graduate of the University of Cambridge in England. Famous alums include Charles Darwin, but take a look at the screen. On the screen, there are 3 names of well-known experts in animal behavior. One of them is not a Cambridge grad. Is it Goodall, is it Corwin, or is it Attenborough?
David Attenborough's son was one of my professors, so it's not him. Jane Goodall is a member of my girlfriend's college at Cambridge,
wow.
So it's not her, so it's Jeff Corwin.
Wow. You don't have any connection to Jeff Corwin?
No, I don't.
I was going to go 6 degrees of separation. Forget about it. You're like 1. It is Jeff Corwin, who, by the way, is from Norwell.
Okay.
See,
wonderful.
there you go. There's a little nugget there. Since Cambridge reminds us of Hogwarts, and for no other reason, we have a Harry Potter question for you this morning. Which of the following is not one of the student houses at Hogwarts? Is it Ravenclaw? Is it Hufflepuff? Or is it Dragonstone?
My wonderful girlfriend, again,
there you go.
is a massive Harry Potter nerd, so it is Dragonstone.
Dragonstone is part of the Game of Thrones world, not Harry Potter. All right, your girlfriend's 2 for 2.
Yeah, she is. She's in my ear right now. You guys don't know that.
Phone a friend, right? No, you have your girlfriend in the ear. You are a financial analyst in the tech industry, as we said. Many famous companies in the computer field were headquartered here in Massachusetts. So on the screen, one of the following was not in Massachusetts. Is it Commodore Computers? Is it Lotus Software? Or is it Digital Equipment?
I'm going to go Digital Equipment.
It is, call your girlfriend, because, see, this time you didn't call your girlfriend. Commodore is actually the answer. It got a start in Toronto. Lotus was based in Cambridge. Digital was based in Maynard. I actually, when we went through the rehearsal, I failed that one too.
Okay,
I'd forgotten that
tough
Digital was
one.
in Maynard. All right, Revere is where you remember the school committee is named after the Revolutionary War patriot, Paul Revere. The poem Paul Revere's Ride is an American classic, okay? Who was the author of the poem? On the screen, is it Whittier? Is it Longfellow? Is it Lowell?
At the risk of embarrassing myself, I will go with Longfellow.
It is Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, the first published in the Atlantic Monthly back in 1861. 3 out of 4 is not bad.
Not bad at all.
Not bad at all.
Well, as Ed mentioned, you are a financial analyst in the tech sector, so that's a big part of the state's economy. Tech plays a crucial role as well in dealing with climate change. Do you think the governor's policies meet the moment when it comes to that issue?
Do I think the governor's policies meet the moment with regard to climate change? I will say that we need far more top-down guidance when it comes to climate change, and particularly when it comes to coastal resiliency in this district and across the state. I live in a coastal city, the city of Revere, and most places within our district are coastal. Boston, Winthrop, Cambridge, rising sea levels and increased storm surge isn't just an issue that affects the polar bears. I love them, but it's not just about them. It impacts jobs right now. It impacts transit. It impacts how we get to work and our quality of life. We need stronger guidance from the state on how we can put together resiliency and climate-oriented policies that incentivize job growth and maintain job growth going into the future.
Well, your district relies heavily on the MBTA, and Boston Mayor Michelle Wu has championed free bus routes, has made a fare free MBTA a goal. The governor sat in that very chair not a couple of weeks ago and said he is not on board with that. So what is your policy on the MBTA and how to I was going to say properly fund it, but properly manage it?
Absolutely. I come from the finance world, so I view disbursements of funds given to the T as investments in the future. Any investment in infrastructure, which is crumbling across the country and state, by the way, at this moment, leads to economic growth in the future if it's done well. With the example of the T, so to speak, a better funded T leads to more easy more efficient transit. It leads to more accessibility of jobs with a free flow of people, goods, and ideas. And go ahead.
But should it be free?
I err toward a free T or an extremely cheap T. It is an engine of economic growth, and that's what we need to be focused on in the state right now.
As the governor astutely points out, it is not necessarily free. Nothing is free, right? That comes from something. And Mayor Wu, she's already unveiled efforts. She has endorsed your opponent. She's already unveiled efforts to make 2 more bus lines free as a pilot program to set up a greater plan for making the T free. So.
Yeah.
I mean, do you endorse those ideas?
I endorse ideas that promote economic growth in the long run, which generally are creating cheaper or free public transit. I want people to be able to access their jobs and their social lives. I want to make it cheaper to travel, which the T and bus lines do, especially with the growing cost of cars. Look at the resale market right now, for example. Investments in public infrastructure do that. They pay out in the long term. And while you are going to have to make an upfront cost, on a timescale of 10 to 20 years, we're coming out on the winning side on this one.
So just a quick look at the calendar. The middle of December, December 14th, is the primary.
Get out your Santa hats.
And there you go. So, and there is a general in January?
January 11th.
11th. All right. Very good. Thank you. Great to see you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in.
I appreciate it.